Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Puzzled Minds podcast. Today we have a guest, and his name is Craig, and he is the host of Craig and Them. So please give him a warm welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate being able to be here with you.
Thanks, Craig. So today's topic is brought to you by the letter N for nostalgia, and today we'll be kind of putting a twist on it in terms of stuff that you had in childhood, but that doesn't hold up today. So we'll kind of start off with that. So I kind of want to start off with square pizza from cafeteria. You guys remember that?
Doesn't hold up today, or does?
No, it does not. Mm-mm.
Like, what do you mean? They've always given you diarrhea. Like, there was never a time it did hold up. It was just, I feel like square pizza was only good because how bad school lunches were back then. Like, everything was dismally bad, and that was just kind of bad.
Right. So you look forward to that, like, with the little chunks of pepperoni on it, Is this, you didn't even know what it was, but we definitely look forward to that.
Oh, yeah. At the time when we had school lunches, like that was kind of like the surf and turf of middle school. Everyone loved pizza. Is it Pizza Fridays? Or I don't know what it was, but whenever they had pizza on there, people loved it.
Dude, even the bread was like a weird texture. It wasn't even like actual bread. It was like the texture of like a cracker with cheese on top of it. So it was such a weird thing. Because I remember it's one of the few pizzas where you can separate, like, for example, it would be completely made, right? You could separate all the ingredients and they would stay whole. Like a really well-made pizza would be like, obviously the cheese would melt off.
Yeah, everything would melt off together.
You could literally take out the pepperoni, still be perfectly intact, take out the cheese, still be perfectly intact, and put it together like it's a toy.
Can you look at that, like a picture of square pizza, and kind of smell it?
I can, man. It has I just remember the pepperonis. Like, it smells predominantly like pepperoni. Like, no matter what. Like, I don't remember any, like, cheese. The cheese, if it was just a cheese pizza, it didn't have a smell. But if it's pepperoni, it's just like overbearingly pepperoni.
Yeah. Another one I have on my list is Sunny D. Have you guys really had that?
Oh, that's it. If you said that doesn't hold up, dude, I will punch you square in your face.
Well, I mean, considering that this is, nostalgia stuff that doesn't hold up, yes, I am.
Dude, like, nah, dude. Sunny D, I 100% disagree. As a matter of fact, I'm going to cancel this podcast. See, I almost died, choked of shock.
Wait, so
I never did Sunny D.
Oh, you never? Okay, so we'll, your body thanks you, I guess, because there's no way. Like, when's the last time you had it, Tidiwa?
I want to say a couple of months ago. Like, I know exactly what the taste still feels like.
Really?
Granted, I never said it does not give you diabetes. That I'm not arguing the health content of it.
Yeah.
But if you tell me right now that Sunny D is not amazing, like, forget all the Minute Maid bullshit, all the like healthy oranges, you knew what you were getting to with Sunny D, where it was just like, you could be eating like a bowl of rusted nails and then drink Sunny D, and the orange juice would overpower the rusted nails. Like, it is overly, like, I don't even know what the taste was because it wasn't orange juice.
Yeah, no, I think I don't know if there's like a debate online, but I saw something online saying like no one really knows what the taste of Sunny D is. It's not orange.
It's not orange. Yeah. I'd have tasted it before, and like I immediately went like, I don't know what that is. I don't think I want to drink that. So
it's definitely not from Earth. I'll tell you that. There's nothing on Earth tastes like that.
Dude, I'm gonna argue that thing can still hold up, man. Like, Sunny D, it's like Kool-Aid, dude. It's like, you need to know what you're getting into.
Oh no, you can't. No, you can't compare Kool-Aid to Sunny D. That is true.
Yeah.
Are you telling me that? What is the difference between the diabetic level of Kool-Aid and Sunny D? Like, it's the same thing.
You can adjust your level of diabetes with Kool-Aid, though, because I got to make my own Kool-Aid. So if I wanted to be diabetic, I could. If I wanted to be a little less, I could do that too. So, I mean, my friends might disagree. My colleagues, roommates might disagree because they always said I put too much sugar in it. But I'm like, I grew up in the hood, so there you go.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't drink this regular Kool-Aid. Like, what kind of black person does not have diabetic Kool-Aid? If your Kool-Aid does not taste like you're going to go into a coma, like, I'm honestly going to question your pigment.
Right.
So, like, when you had it, it didn't burn your throat? Like the Sunny D?
Sunny D?
Yeah.
Dude,
because I'm still going to go on this.
Okay, so Sunny D, this is the thing I remember of Sunny D, because when I had it, like, not too long ago, I just remember I grabbed it from somebody's fridge. It wasn't like I had bought it myself. So I'm not saying I'm buying it. Like, that's not, I would be lying if I said that. Okay. But I remember when I grabbed it out of somebody's fridge, it was amazing. It still tasted just as I remember. But also, I remember with Sunny D, the part that got bad about it, if you drank, like, let's say 2 of those, what do they call, like, those container ones, those cylinders, whatever you want to call them, like 2 of them back to back, that's when it got dangerous. That's when you're like, it's almost like the taste changes. If you drink 2 of them, it's dangerous. 1 of them, it's like amazing. 2 of them, it's like, okay, bro, the human body's not designed to drink 2 Sunny D's back to back. And I remember, like, I was like, oh, God, it's like, it's not pulp. I don't know what it is, but you just get to a point where you're kind of like your lips almost feel like they're bleeding. It's kind of weird.
So I looked it up, and maybe your lip bleeding could be due to canola oil. Maybe not, but I looked it up because apparently Sunny D has canola oil in it. And so every other juice I looked up, like Tropicana, Hawaiian Punch, Minute Maid, Ocean Spray, Simply Lemonade, like they don't have canola oil in it. And like, why do you need canola oil in fucking Sunny D?
Why would you need canola oil?
And what is canola oil for us uneducated people?
What is it? Hydrogen.
It's made out of corn, right?
Yeah, it's like I think so. Let me double check.
You can use it for frying and for cookies. Like is on the same shelf as vegetable oil. So if you grab your Crisco,
know about it. If it can fry something, I'm just drinking it. I'm probably doing damage to myself.
So, are we still saying it holds up now?
I'm honestly, you guys can argue against me. I'm saying it holds up. That's 2 against 1. So I guess overall, according to majority vote, it does not.
I'm glad we settled that. Sunny D is shit. So, the next one I have on my list is Kids Cuisine. Do we have any takers on that one?
I think that was always an act of desperation when you had to eat one of those. If your parents sent you to school with one of those things, either I started to question how much they loved you. Because that shit is just like, there is no nutritional value. One, it was tiny as well, too. So it wasn't like it was based off of like the quantity of like the amount of food you're getting. It tasted like garbage. There was barely anything in there. And it's like, if you got the one that had like the pizza in it, it's like you could nuke it in the microwave for like 2 hours and it would still be like lukewarm sauce.
So my parents used to, I never brought it to school. I mean, if you did that, I think that'd be kind of cool. But I used to have it like maybe after school and stuff like that, like an after school meal. And I think the one that I had was the chicken nuggets one. And so that one came with corn, cold ass mashed potatoes, and like it says it's a brownie or like I don't know what it was. But either way, you could heat that brownie up as long as you want, and it would either be rock hard or like liquidy.
You could throw that brownie against a car and it would dent the car.
The mashed potatoes were kind of like the same thing too. It would always be cold no matter what, and I don't know what it was.
Those weren't mashed potatoes, man. Like the mashed potatoes, like it's weird because whenever something maintains its form too perfectly, like if you were to think about it as a kid, if you were to draw mashed potatoes, and if the food looks exactly like that, there is something wrong with that food. Like it should not look like a perfect little like goop or mountain of like, like whatever.
Goop, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It looks like something that you'd use like an adhesive to like stop something from leaking. Like it doesn't look like something that you should eat. Like I just have a big beef with those Kid Cuisine things because I just honestly feel like they serve no purpose. Like they're like the worst of the worst because I mean other than did they come with like a little piece of candy like a Snickers or something or like I think.
Lunchables do.
Yeah. Oh, it's Lunchables. Yeah. At least Lunchables had they had like a Snickers bar that was an actual Snickers bar, not like their version of it. So at least you're getting Snickers out of it. Well, these little Kid Cuisine things, the best part of it was like the little like angry penguin as a logo, and that was it.
Well, see, okay, so Kids Cuisine, I feel like it's kind of like a kid's version of like Hunger Man.
Right.
I don't know if you guys ever had Hunger Man.
Yeah.
Like I don't know price wise how much they are different, but I guess you would get more food. If it was very similar, it wouldn't make any sense besides like the whole blue tray. Like that's the reason why you would get it for your kids because, who wants to eat like from a black tray? It's a colorful blue tray. Like I feel like that's the only reason why. But
you're right. The Hungry Man weren't very good. Like I didn't do Kid Cuisines. I'm a little bit older than you guys. So I think they came around a little bit after my school time. But the Hungry Men, yeah, they're pretty bad. Like gross fried chicken that they had in there. Like you
that
microwave
wasn't even
fried.
chicken, bro. You take that shit off, and you could like sand your skin down.
Yes, it was
Like
so gross.
you pull the chicken off like a coat, man. And even John and I were talking about this a while ago about like it's almost like McDonald's chicken nuggets where when you take the skin off, it's like whatever's underneath it, that's not meat. It's like perfectly smooth. It's like the same thing that chicken where it's like fried chicken is like brittle, like you touch it, like, it crumbles. But when you can just like one pinch and then one pull and it's take the entire skin off.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, that's not chicken, bro.
So I might have to disagree with that. I think that back then that chicken was really good. And I mean, I haven't had it recently, but I do remember like wanting, whenever we went to the grocery store, I would always go and find the Kids Cuisine that had the fried chicken in it. And I don't know if that's where like my love for fried chicken started. I hope not, because that's kind of like a really sad story. And I think about it.
It's really sad.
It started from the bottom, dude.
No, that's like below that. That's like underground. There's no way.
That's like Hades level of bottom.
Yeah, I don't know. I really have to think about that, if that's really where that fried chicken started, because I have to change that origin story up, because that's really fucking sad. Do you guys have anything else for like food wise? Anything that doesn't hold up?
Food wise, I got the ultimate one. I know you guys remember this, and if you guys say you never ate one, I'm gonna question whether your parents truly raised you properly. Zebra cake.
Yeah, zebra cakes. Yes.
Remember those?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
God, you could taste your body just dying as you eat one.
Dying.
So good. Like, you bit into one, you're like, yup, diabetes. Bit into another one, yup, that's cancer. But like, it was so damn good. Like, I remember like there are certain foods that are so good that if you eat like, there's a certain amount you eat and then you just immediately get sick. Like if zebra cake is like, if you somehow got to like halfway through the box, like you're going to start getting sick. Like you're not even going to get the like, I have diarrhea sick. You're going to get like the pinches in your stomach. You're going to get the bloodshot eyes. Like it's going to hurt. I remember zebra cake so vividly because I was that kid that like, used to only eat like one or two, like two at most. And I typically wasn't supposed to eat two. I would sneak one. But
Wait,
for whatever reason,
a pack of two. You know that, right?
Yeah, they came in a pack of two.
No, I'm talking about the whole box because they had the little long box. Like,
okay.
look, I'm talking about eating like multiples, man. Like I used to go ham. I'd be like, that's
so you ate 4.
Yeah, I was eating cement, dude. I was like, you know what? I don't need a butthole because I'm about to tear this thing up. And I remember, dude, the day I got sick off of them, it was like beyond diarrhea. It was just like I was legitimately sick. And you don't even want to look at, like, if you look at the ingredients in zebra cakes, like whenever you get a chance, it's like, when you go to the store, just look at the back. When you can barely pronounce half of the stuff in there, it's not even like flour or, like corn syrup. It's like some word that looks like the super soldier serum put into it. I'm
exactly.
Like, what is a zebra cake to begin with? Like, I don't know why I'm like, zebra cakes was the thing, but like that and honey buns were like the
honey buns.
Okay,
my gosh.
Honey buns kind of hold up. If you put
they
them in
hold
the microwave,
up, but speaking of diabetes, those things, I mean, they just are like when you pull the plastic off and it sticks to it. And I'm like, am I eating plastic? Am I eating sugar? I'm not even sure right now. I know it's sugar, but it's good. Yeah, that was
honey buns. You question like what's going on in your life that you have to eat a honey bun. Because I associate it with like, I have to ask you, what time did you eat it? Because no one in the middle of the day is like, I'm going to eat a honey bun. It's like 2 a.m. gas station food at this point. You're eating honey buns, like just whipping them out. You're like, yo, bro, I could go for a honey bun right now.
When I was younger, yeah. I've never. Oh, now? Oh, yeah. It's definitely some like 2 a.m. shit. Like,
yeah, that's 7-Eleven. Yeah, honey buns and Taco Bell in the same category of like disappointing your body. It's the same kind of thing with a choice. Like when you get a honey bun, you're like, I'm going to get a honey bun. It's like a mental process of purchasing it. You're like, what brought me to this choice now? I'm buying a honey bun at a 7-Eleven. It's 2 a.m. Like, what's going on? I got a mortgage to pay, but I'm spending money on a honey bun.
Right.
You're like consciously trying to buy that.
Yeah, it's like it's a situation.
So of all those like little Debbie treats, what was that? That Star, you know what I'm talking about?
Star Crunch.
Yeah, Star Crunch. That one I think still holds up.
I'm
not sure if you've had
that recently enough to even remember.
I remember because it's similar to like a Nestle Crunch, but it's just like all Crunch, no Nestle. So yeah, I remember enjoying that. I feel like those were pretty good. But those are really like super sweet, and I could only eat one of those. And I love chocolate and I love sweets, but I could only eat one of those at a time because I think my eyes like tightened up, and I was just like couldn't do it.
Are we drawing the line where honey buns? If anyone eat honey buns at 2 a.m., that's a questionable life decision. Is that
questionable life decision? I would agree with that.
Yeah, dude, I think so, man. I think that's the line. I think it's like you got no other options.
Yeah, I guess when you're at a gas station, I guess you have like the hot dogs that have been on the roller for like 12 hours, or you can get a honey bun. I think of the
honey bun's still the safe bet.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's between those two, it's the lesser of two evils.
Right.
Yeah. Dude, what about like what about some nostalgic TV shows, dude? I know we got like an infinite amount of that.
So what show doesn't hold up today?
Like, I'm gonna say this, and I know this is gonna be like, the ultimate sin. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, I watched Cow and Chicken. I want to say like a little over a year ago, and I think I don't know why I watched it. It wasn't on Adult Swim. It was on something. I don't know how I watched it, and I remember being excited to watch it because I remember it being like filled with adult humor. It didn't hold up, man. Like, I realized that now when you like things that were like above our head back then are so on the nose now because of the level of like standard TV show now. Like, you have stuff like Rick and Morty that exists. So when you're accustomed to that level of like, I guess, highbrow suggestiveness, like things like Cow and Chicken don't faze you anymore. So I remember watching like, this does not hold up at all. Like it did not hold up at all. But on a side note, what does still hold up, and actually still I would argue could do well with a reboot, is Dexters Laboratory.
I love Dexter.
So, okay, wait. So you said that like it doesn't hold up. Is it because of like the Cow and Chicken doesn't hold up because of the adult content, or like not content, but like I guess I'm just trying to figure out like what you mean.
It doesn't hold up because like I'll give you a better example. Like Rick and Morty is like straight up like mature. Like suggestive cartoons or things like now, like for example, like Adventure Time. Before Adventure Time ended, it was filled with suggestive things, like suggestive, like very like philosophical themes, even like sexual themes, and all that stuff like that, right? So those shows like Cow and Chicken in the 90s all of their jokes were surrounded by suggesting things. They wouldn't flat out say things. Like, for example, if there was a sexual situation, you would have to listen to the music. The sentence that someone may say in that show may just be like something like, oh, we'll see who's got something cooking for you. That doesn't sound sexual.
Oh.
But back then you'd hear like the violin, like the classic Kenny G violin going down. You're like, oh, now you're like, oh, you know what they're talking about. This dude's talking about blowing backs out,
So it's kind of like Ren and Stimpy,
No, because Ren and Stimpy was flat out. I'm talking about Ren and Stimpy was just flat out this gross. They were just flat out talking about it. I'm talking about
they were gross.
Yeah, I'm talking about suggestive, like Adventure Time, for example. There's an episode before. It's kind of a spoiler, but Princess Bubblegum and Marceline are like one of the first LGBT characters. I believe like period, right? So that show ends with them basically like admitting their feelings for each other. But throughout that entire series, they insinuated it. And there was an episode, for example, where pretty much to open this magical door, you had to sing a song or play an instrument that had to be about the truth, about something. So you would have to sing lyrics that were like the truth about your innermost thoughts, right? So one of the main characters, Marceline the vampire, was singing a song about how singing a song about her emotions towards a specific person. You had no idea who it was what she was singing, but the lyrics were very intense, and you can tell that she has intense feelings for this person. So the second that she looks at Princess Bubblegum, the other female in the show, her lyrics start to change real quick, and she's like, "Oh, I don't like you, I hate you," and you can tell, like, wait a second, like all of a sudden the door starts closing down, meaning that she's lying about her feelings for another character. So that's suggestive. They didn't flat out say, "Oh yeah, these two characters like each other," but they suggested it. So, and that's a Cartoon Network cartoon. So that's what I'm talking about, suggestiveness. So shows like that now that do it in such a very intricate and intense way, I feel like shows like Cow and Chicken back then are less impressive now because you have shows that have taken that and run with it,
ramped it up.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. I can't really think of any other TV shows. Do you have anything, Craig?
See, I'm a little older than you guys, so some of the things that I think of are things that you guys might not remember. My wife, I have a tank top that has He-Man on it from the original cartoon series. And my wife asked me the other day, she was like, well, why was that a good cartoon? And I looked at her and I was like, you know what? I'm not sure it was. Now that I think about it, I'm not sure it was a really great cartoon. It was, I had to come home after school, sit down and watch TV, and that was on. And it was on every day after school. Mm-hmm. So it became my favorite thing to watch. But looking back at it, it's like uber cheesy. You know, it doesn't hold up to.
Really is.
Like if you look at like the new She-Ra that was on Netflix, speaking of, you know.
Yeah.
The good. Yeah, the LGBT innuendo and the coming out with their feelings for each other. That they did the same thing in that show. But He-Man was uber cheesy, right? It's just this dude. I mean, it's like a Clark Kent type thing going on where nobody knows who he is, although he still looks the exact same. And this cat wears a mask when it becomes Battle Cat, whatever. I don't know, but you know, and it's the same fight every week. And so looking at that, and then, you know, a few years later when like Batman the Animated Series comes out, I'm like, that doesn't even stand close to that. And then another show. I don't know if you guys know the Super Friends. Do y'all remember that show at all?
Super Friends? Is Super Friends? Is that like Justice League except they're like kids and stuff like that, or am I thinking something different?
It was Justice League, but they were adults. It was the Justice League, and they had Apache Chief. Like they tried to throw some diversity in there, so they had Apache Chief, and they had it wasn't Black Lightning, it was Black Bolt, just a black character that they invented strictly for the cartoon, and the Wonder Twins. And it was uber cheesy. And then if you look at the Justice League or Justice League Unlimited, like it does not hold a candle to those shows, because those shows get
Justice League Unlimited. Speaking of which, man, that show still holds up. There are some episodes on that show that are still in the, I would say, are in the conversation of like best episodes of the, you know, animated television, period. Yeah. Like there are some strong episodes in there. And I mean, kind of going back to what you're saying before about He-Man, dude, the funny thing about He-Man is I think the reason why He-Man, I don't know if, like, I guess, would you say He-Man still holds up?
No, I don't think it does. I have to go back and watch it. I haven't watched it recently, but I don't think it does. It's great for nostalgic reasons, but I don't think it holds up in terms of like I would be able to sit and watch, like binge an entire series of it.
So doesn't it remind you of like what's going on at the time? Because He-Man, it epitomizes its era, right? Mm-hmm. It's like it epitomizes the era of everything, because that's when like hyper masculinity was like the form of like every male character, whether it's TV shows, it's like you had the Burt Reynolds types where it's this kind of like mustache, like being buff and like super jacked was the thing. And you look at He-Man, the thing I don't understand is the damn haircut they gave homeboy. Like he's running around looking like a German sex slave and just beating the crap out of a giant sentient skeleton. I didn't know that Skeletor was wearing a mask, but that was his face. I just love the fact that cartoons back then, since I don't want to say they were lowbrow, but they were in a time period where you didn't have to explain things. You don't have to explain why Skeletor is blue with a yellow skull mask. He's run around this, you know, you don't have to explain why like villains back in the day wanted to blow up the same planet they live on. I'm like, what does that make? I'm going to destroy the world. Where are you going to live? I don't know. Like, they don't care, you know? Now we live in an age where like cartoons have to make sense. Even the most simple cartoons have to make sense, right? Mm-hmm. So things like He-Man are hilarious now. Like if you watch it now, it's like you almost watch it. It's a comedy now.
Mm-hmm. Can you say the same thing with Power Rangers? And kind of like how it's kind of like the same cheesy fight scene every single week.
Dude, Power Rangers was a gateway though. That was a gateway to every young boy's like violent streak, you know? Like that was my gateway to violent anything. Because I remember prior to Power Rangers, I was still in the Pokemon and Digimon phase. I think that was still where I was. So I wasn't really into like shows just about people beating the crap out of each other, right? I was still into like the message of, like adventure. That's what I guess adventure is what I want to say. Mm-hmm. Adventure cartoons was what I was into. And then when I got introduced to Power Rangers, I just fell in love with this whole thing. I guess that's when, your young testosterone kicks in. You're just like, yo, I just want to see this dude with this cool helmet punch the crap out of this putty monster and flares fire out of the thing's face. Like, I was all about it. I didn't care about the story. I just want to see people get hit.
Yeah, but I guess, if you look at it now, like I don't think it holds up because it's literally the same thing.
It's still going now, dude. Like that's
it's still
a
going.
hard one. They have
I don't think
50
it ever
different
really
versions.
held up because of the way they put it together. Because it's like they're taking, Japanese shows and trying to fit like, American white kids into it and say, all right, we're gonna cut away, and then it's like that looks nothing like whatever town you're supposed to be in. How are they to get on the beach all of a sudden and they're fighting some random?
Well, I'll argue this one about Power Rangers. I will say Power Rangers is one of those shows that's actually eternal. Like it's a show that you outgrow, but then a new group of people come into it, right? It's not a show that goes away. Like it's not a show like, for example, like He-Man, for example, like it's not going to be a gateway for some kid to get into like, I don't know, like action cartoons. Power Rangers, there are like, I guess like what is the age range? Like maybe like 9-10 years old Power Rangers. Like there are 9-10-year-olds that are still into it right now because that's their introduction into something that's going to take them to something else. So I'd argue
my kids
Power Rangers.
Watch it.
Yeah, it's meant for.
Yeah, they started watching the old ones. My son is 8 and my youngest is 6, and so they've been watching it. And we actually had to stop them from watching it like a couple years ago when they first started because it's like, all right, that's too violent because they started trying to kick each other and punch each other. But
because Power Rangers they're about that life. Like, I mean, you watch the classics. At least the classics kind of are like spandex suits and stuff like that. But if you like even talk about like, I don't know if you guys read the Power Rangers comics, but they're killing each other. Like they're flat out murdering each other in the comics. Really? So yeah, like they have this one where pretty much I forgot I think it's Tommy. He becomes like this Power Ranger called Lord Dracon. Sorry guys, it's like a side rant. And he pretty much is a Power Ranger that's been destroying worlds. Like he murdered all the original Rangers from his planet, and then it's just taking over different universes. And he's flat out cutting arms off. Like Kimberly out here is like this fallen Ranger now, and she has a bow, and she's straight up shooting people in the face. So every single iteration of the Power Rangers, I would say, they've amped it up a little bit, knowing that the average kid now has a higher threshold for. Well, there's a higher tolerance now for what we consider, good and bad. Like even basic level cartoons. Like, I don't know. Have you guys watched Regular Show?
I haven't watched that.
I don't even know what that is.
So the Regular Show was pretty much this cartoon about this giant blue jay and this giant squirrel named Rigby, and they were just going on random adventures, right? There was so much implied everything. Like, for example, they would have pizza parties, right? Soda and pizza, right? Since it's on Cartoon Network, you can't show, obviously, alcohol and drugs. But these guys would black out from like a soda party. They'd be like, wake up the next day and everything's trashed, like people are passed out. And then it's like, there's episodes where you blatantly see like Mordecai, the Blue Jay was in love with like this, I didn't know what she was. She was like a giant cardinal with a massive, like big tits. And you're like, wait, this is a bird of massive tits. This is technically a cartoon that you can watch by a 10-year-old. It's like Y10, like this, like the age range. So I think now kind of like going to kind of bring this back into what we were talking about before is that I think certain cartoons are gateways. So after Power Rangers, your next cartoon is probably like, I would argue maybe Dragon Ball Z might be the thing as well too that people would segue into.
Okay. Yeah, that I guess that kind of makes sense when you put it like that. Yeah, it doesn't really necessarily go away, but
it's somebody else.
It's another step in your journey to testosterone fueled.
Yeah.
Right.
Dude, Dexters Lab. I'm telling you, I want to get on Dexters Lab, man. If you guys have not watched Dexters Laboratory lately, you can rewatch these old episodes, man, and they still are slapping. They're hilarious.
It's still a funny. Yeah, it's a funny show. I watched it. I probably watched it like a couple years ago with one of my kids, and that was pretty funny. I don't think they got a lot of the jokes, so we didn't watch much more of it. But I was watching. It's like, this was a funny show. I forgot this was such a funny show. It was
hilarious. There was an episode that addresses like even things that are relevant today. Like there's an episode where Dexter literally has this. He's trying to make women fall in love with him, right? So he does his mathematical equation, comes up with like the perfect phrase or word that makes women fall in love with him, and it's omelette du fromage. So he's walking up the girls.
I remember that.
Yeah, remember that? He's walking up the girls. He's like, omelette du fromage. And these girls are like, whoa. And the thing about that cartoon is, it's the way they depict how the women react to that word. It's not that they say, we love you.
He's like saying it into like their ears too, kind of
truly. And they're basically like busting nuts. And we're like, oh, Dexter. And this is a kid's cartoon. At the time, I had no idea what that was. I'm like, why are they like shaking and like digging?
Was Dexter's Laboratory, was that the pioneer of ASMR? Because if you think about it, he's doing it directly into their ears.
Dude, Dexters Lad was one of those cartoons that I wouldn't say it pioneered. It was one of the, I would say there's like three cartoons I would argue are in the trinity of suggestiveness. Ed, and Eddie, Dexter's Laboratory, and Powerpuff Girls. Like through those three
Powerpuff
cartoons
Girls for sure. Yeah.
had a ton of stuff. First one, Dexter's Laboratory, the Alma Du Fromage episode, is loaded with sexual innuendos. On top of that as well, too, there's an episode where Dexter is basically, he takes a serum to age because he's in love with his babysitter, and his babysitter's like, yo, I can't be with you. You're like 4.
Oh, so, yeah, he ages.
Yeah, he takes it, and then he ages, and then he's trying to smash he's blatantly trying to smash his babysitter. They don't hide about it. Like, and on top of that as well, too, they had this thing back in the day, for whatever reason, like really attractive women, how you know they'd be attractive was they wouldn't show the face, they would just show the body.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, forever, whenever a child was
Cow and Chicken, you have the
Powerpuff Girls,
the assistant, the assistant to the mayor.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of someone else. I can't really think of anyone.
There are plenty, and it's part of that, like, I don't know I would say it still holds up. Powerpuff Girls still, this is the thing, man, like a lot of dudes don't like to act like they didn't watch it as a kid. I was all about Powerpuff Girls, dude. I was what's the green one's name? It was Buttercup. Buttercup was mine. I was like, yo, Buttercup. I'm pretty sure she grew up to be a lesbian, but who cares? I was all about Buttercup, man. And I remember specifically going on Powerpuff Girls. There was an episode that was super suggestive, and people don't like talking about that transsexual crab in that show.
Oh, him.
Him was the first like transsexual character I can remember. He dressed like he had like especially the way his feet were like vertical, like he's walking in stilettos. He had the black lipstick. His voice, before he gets mad, was very feminine like and sensual. And then when he get mad, he'd be like, "You go to hell." I'm like, "Oh shit!" Like out of nowhere. And it would always imply, it's almost like the thing people always say about I guess it's the, very, ignorant joke people make about, the trans community is that, you'll see a beautiful girl and then the second she gets mad, she's like, "Square up." And they're going like, "Oh shit, I thought this was a model,"
Mm.
So Powerpuff Girls, they made some of these very suggestive things, but back then I think there are less constraints around what you can depict. That's why you see some of these cartoons that hold up today, because Powerpuff Girls could not come out today. Like it couldn't.
They've rebooted it because my kids watch it, and it's a lot. It is softer. It's softer than the original because they tried to watch the original, and I watched it with them a little bit, and I was like, "Yeah, y'all aren't watching this." But they rebooted it, and the reboot is definitely softer. And speaking of, I just heard, I don't know how true it is, but the CW is looking to make a live action version of the Powerpuff Girls.
I heard.
Stuff that I don't think you should touch it. It's just like touching classics. Like just don't.
It's true. I hate when they do that. When the reboots are not great, but
they also as well too. You're rebooting it for a generation that no longer cares about it. Like I learned that there are certain things that I have a special place for in my heart because of the significance at the time. Mm-hmm. But now, like a perfect example, but now they don't impact me as much. In a perfect example, and I hate to say it because I even have a tattoo of this game, but it's Kingdom Hearts is a perfect example.
Like it doesn't hold up?
It doesn't. The thing is, Kingdom Hearts was it's one of my favorite games of all time, right? It brought me into the action RPG genre. It introduced me. It gave me that love for that, heroic protagonist that's always happy-go-lucky, there for your friends, willing to sacrifice himself, all that. Like, it was the gateway for a lot of things, which led me to other games that I thoroughly enjoy playing now. But I remember playing Kingdom Hearts 3, and I waited, the Kingdom Hearts 2 came out, I think it was 2006, because I was in high school when this game came out. It was 2006 or so. So we waited damn near a decade for Kingdom Hearts 3. You remember I played it and beat it, and I was like, okay. I didn't care. But I'm like, dude, I love this game. And I felt so guilty as to why I didn't have more of a love for it. And I realized there's certain things that you love it for what it did for you at the time. And if you try to update that, it doesn't work. Like what Craig was talking about.
Diminish the whole nostalgic feeling?
It does, because you can
overshadows it, I guess.
You can taint the memory. I believe you want, like Craig was saying, Powerpuff Girls, they rebooted it and it just doesn't hold up because it doesn't. Well, they rebooted it and it's not as good because the times don't allow for the things that made it great originally.
Right.
Like, and there's certain shows that just flat out said we don't care. Samurai Jack is one of those shows where they're like, all right, the original's great, but that sequel, boy, Jack was murdering people. Woo! But Jack was flat out just killing people. So, yeah.
Do you have anything in terms of like accessories, kind of like puka shells or like yin yang necklaces, anything like that? Chain wallets?
I just want to give, if you don't remember, if you want to hear the most 2000s thing, the 2000 thing of all time, like I guarantee you guys, dare you guys to challenge this. Do you remember 50 Cent G-Unit tank tops and the chains?
Like the tall
That
tee?
is the tall tee. Do you remember that, my friend? With the tank top, you had to be a 200-pound Nigerian man of raw muscle to even fit into one of those things. It was flat out the most 2000s 2000, like year of 2000 thing I can remember, because I remember being like, every single man of color had to have G-Unit something. And even if you didn't have waves, you put on the do-rag.
The do-rag.
Reason, people know you're about that life.
You know what? Also, it's those like T-shirts that had like the Bugs Bunny, but it was like a gangster. You remember that?
Oh yeah,
yeah. That shit definitely don't hold up nowadays.
Yeah,
but I kind of want to get one just to wear it around. See if people
get away with it now, because that fashion, ironically enough, has come back in a different form. Like, it's come back in the hipster form where
that makes sense.
You can wear it ironically, you know?
Right.
Yeah. And people won't judge you. They'll just think that you're trying to be like nostalgic, I guess. Kind of like the whole like urban outfitters kind of fit.
Perfect. Yeah. Like exactly like that. Man, what about jean shorts that went past your knees?
Yes.
Paco jeans. You guys remember that?
Or like what is it, like
the cross colors? I'm going a little bit further back than you guys.
Wait, what was it?
Say it again.
The cross colors. Those long. They had long. When I was a kid, it was like multicolor shorts that went past your knees.
Oh shit!
So
let me look this up real quick. Oh, is it like I guess green, red, and black?
Yeah, it was all types of colors.
It says cross-colored jeans. I'm looking it up, but I have no clue how these are.
But and then for when I was younger, but it was like a little bit before you guys, the starter jackets. Everybody had to have a starter jacket when I was a kid.
So I might have to disagree with that. Those starter jackets, I still think they hold up. Like it
depends on the ones that you get though. Like some of them are cool. Yeah. I had the pullover like quarter zip. So that one was okay with the pocket in the front. It's like, is it a sweatshirt? Is it a rain jacket? What are you doing right now?
It's everything and anything you want it to be. Because I remember like in, what was it, maybe 2009-ish? I just remember like Big Sean, he used to be all about like the starter jackets and the starter hats and stuff like that. And so he used to wear them all the time. I was like, damn, dude, I never had the chance to wear one of them. I still think those things like hold up. It's very fashionable. Like,
no, they do hold up. They got brought back. They got resuscitated.
I definitely, the only thing I can think of accessories is like chain wallets. Like I said, like I mentioned before, like I remember
chain wallets. Let everyone know you listen to Linkin Park.
Do you remember how people used to put them? Like, I don't know. I used to have one, but it wasn't very long. It was just enough because, ironically, I actually wore it because I used to lose my wallet. And so that was the only way that I would not lose my wallet. But I remember
wore it for an actual functional purpose. I wore it because I was one of those guys, all the gear, none of the skills, like hung off skaters, couldn't skate, wore like really tight jackets and stuff like that. Had no, like, it was one of those things where the chain wallet was, you're the only person I have met, John, that actually used a chain wallet in fear of losing the actual wallet.
Well, I mean, if people don't know, I'm a very practical person. I probably was back then still, but yeah, I think I might be the only person. I might have to write them and be like, hey, thank you for inventing this. I actually did use this for its intended purposes.
I just want to let our audience know that it was a period in John's life where he had emo hair and snake bites piercings.
Yeah, so maybe we'll talk about that in another episode.
That was John was a teen kid.
Yeah, well, let's not talk about that right now. That was a very dark time in my life. So
Literally, that
no
was the
pun
whole point of it.
intended.
Like
Yeah.
that's how like you literally had to like being somewhat like suicidal back in like early 2000s was like the cool thing. You know, like people on MySpace listen to like was it Asking Alexandria? Like those are really hardcore like, emo
Like
bands.
the whole screamo, hardcore like music and all that shit like that.
It was I don't know what it was, man. Like that's
Yeah.
one thing I like about the early 2000s where it's like it seemed like every 2 years we got an extreme trend that was just out of nowhere cool and you had to be about it. Like we almost did a great disrespect to the shoe culture and forgot about Air Force Ones.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Don't we have
I remember
Nelly to thank for that?
Whoo-wee. I remember, bro. You had those all white Air Force Ones, man. If you wanted the ball, I would literally play basketball with just my socks. Like I was like not going to crease them. If you crease your shoes or scuff your shoes back, then you like immediately diminish like the value of them. Like you just they needed to be clean, pristine, clean all the time. Even Jordans back then weren't that big of a deal. Jordans became a bigger deal, like
Very
like late in
recently.
2000s. Yeah, very recently.
Very, very
Like
recently. Yeah.
Air Forces were all the rave, and then the Fat Farms was like little spinny,
Oh, damn.
spinny logo.
Yeah, I remember all that. Speaking of trends, what about like the frosted tips that we were talking about?
Dude, I'm black. I didn't get into that.
Yeah, that's before mine. That's after me.
I feel like so I'm gonna say this because I don't remember anyone having frosted tips in like my high school or my middle school. I only remember like the iconic like what Justin Timberlake and like what people from NSYNC or Backstreet Boys. I'll probably get murdered.
I do remember the frosted tip. I remember there was this white boy haircut that somewhat come back now in a different form where it was like buzzed on the sides, long on the front, but like flipped straight up, almost like at an angle. And they would like dye the end of it blonde. Like that's what I remember. You know, like that. I remember that was like in fourth or fifth grade. That was like the white boy haircut. Like every single white kid had that haircut.
Yeah, so I never really had that. I kind of had the whole mop head type of look where it was just kind of frosted tip. It was more so just in my eyes and I couldn't really see anything. But I don't know. I don't think that trend either kind of went away. Not the frosted tips, that definitely went away because I don't fucking know anyone. I don't think I've seen anyone within the last 20 years in terms of like I said before, the only person I've seen was music videos.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anyone since then.
Yeah.
But like emo hair, I think still holds up. I still think there are people that still have it.
Oh yeah, there's still emo kids. Like I work with kids, and there's still some walk around with the long black jackets and the chain wallets, all of that stuff. Yeah.
Is it like the people from like the kids in South Park?
One of the kids actually was dressing a lot like Silent Bob. He went like the whole Silent Bob look.
Oh yeah.
So he kind of got really into those 90s movies, and he was young, but he really got into those and kind of wanted to be Silent Bob.
I think emo kids evolved into hipsters. I think that's what ended up happening. Like I don't think.
Shit.
Yeah, I think that was like their next stage in evolution. Like they became like. Like because I still like to John's point, emo hairstyles are still around. This changed a little bit, like the shaved, like people with really long hair, like shaved one side, or the like real, or like even like the hairstyles now, which really long on the top, like but buzz on the sides. Like it's evolved into a different form, but you don't see like the eyeliner or I've seen the fingernails painted a little bit. I actually see that more often than not. That's not something that didn't go away completely. Like I see
Post
some people.
Malone does it.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's still around. So it's kind of crept into different cultures and genres and styles and just like stayed hidden. Like people just don't know the point of origin. That's just what it is. It's like the same. It's like the same thing as like a lot of anime, for example. People don't realize, like One Piece, Naruto, and Dragon Ball Z are like the forefathers of most anime that you see now. So, yeah.
Well, that's all I can really think of in terms of nostalgic stuff that doesn't hold up. You guys have any like last words?
I say just, even though the stuff doesn't hold up, like, I still try to make sure that I remember them fondly, even and just, like you were saying, talked about maybe not going back and looking at it. It's the best thing.
Yeah, just don't go back.
Just let it stay in your memory. Like, let it stay. Keep the wonderful feelings that you had from the past. And just kind of don't necessarily go back and try to relive that at all.
That's just my life motto for all my problems. Don't look back. Don't try to solve it. Keep moving forward. Forget it happened.
Yeah, until that problem hits you in the face 20 years later.
Reboot.
Yeah, so like we mentioned before, Craig, you said that you had a podcast. You're a host of Craig and Them. You want to talk a little bit about it and, where they can find you?
Sure. My podcast is a little different from what you guys do. You guys are hilarious, by the way. Thanks for having me on. Mm-hmm. Mine's more interview based. I'm interviewing a lot of different people about a lot of different things. Here recently, we've been doing a lot of current event stuff. So we've done episodes on returning to school during COVID. We've done episodes on the social justice issues, and just a lot of different things like that. So just trying to keep awareness up about the things that are going on, and like hearing from real people about it, not just the talking heads on TV. So if you guys want to listen, it's Craig and Them Podcast, and you can find that wherever you listen to your podcast. You can follow me on Instagram at Craig and Them Podcast, and on Twitter at Craig and Them. So, it's at Craig and Them Pod. So please just take a listen and let me know what you guys think. Give me some reviews. Honest reviews are always appreciated. 5-star reviews are even more appreciated. But yeah, whatever you got. Thanks.
Yeah, like I said, definitely recommend that. I think I did an episode, or maybe Tadeu and I did an episode with you.
You did it. You and your lovely wife, Bride, did an episode with us during the first season where we talked about anime and couples watching anime, and then you helped me co-host the show with Taiwa, which was great.
Cool. Yeah, I do remember that. It was definitely fun. So do recommend everyone to check that out. If you like this podcast, this episode, smash that like button, that follow button, wherever the hell you listen to us. Follow us on our social media platforms. Instagram is Puzzled Minds Podcast. Our Twitter is Puzzled Minds Pod, and our email is puzzledmindspodcast@gmail.com, where we do encourage everyone to submit a topic that you would like us to talk about and bullshit about, I guess. Other than that, everyone stay puzzled. Oh, wait, never mind. Reverse that. I do have to thank Artificial Block of the Week for the weekly Instagram episode cover arts. This one I really, really love, and I can't wait for you guys to see it. You guys will probably see it before you listen to this episode, but that's beyond it. Now we'll wrap it up. Everyone stay puzzled.
Peace.